What is up, Home Slices? It is Sub Home Slice episode 12. It's Thursday. It's 4 o'clock Eastern. That means it's time for some pizza and some football. I'm at SoCal Ball Nerd. You're looking at IDP Iggy. Today, we got a special guest with us. Before I introduce him, Iggy, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great, man. I'm really stoked. It's like almost a national holiday today, so I'm really stoked, and I'm stoked about our guest, too.
Hey, it's week 1, Thursday night. It's all here, right? I know we still got probably a few drafts. I know Drew's got a draft before we get the game tonight. We go all the way up to the last minute here. That's what you want. Get the latest news. He's got a game for his team tomorrow night as well, but we're going to talk a little more about that game as well. But I want to introduce our guest today. It is none other than Drew DeLuca. He is the former editor-in-chief with the QB List. He has also been a top 10 in accuracy on Fantasy Pros in 2021. So this guy knows a little bit about football. He's also gotten to go to a Super Bowl and cover the Eagles just a couple years ago. So this is a man that has gotten to do some cool things in the industry. Drew, we are stoked to have you on today. How are you doing, man?
I'm great. I can't wait for football. Thanks for having me on. This is an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely, Drew, man. Always good to see you. Of course, we've seen you at the Expo the couple of years. How's your year going, man? And just how are you doing, first off?
Great, man. I've got 4 kids. The oldest one just took to college. She's at the University of Delaware starting her freshman year. I'm excited for her. My youngest is 2.5, so we got quite a spread there. So always busy. So that's why I'm the former editor-in-chief. I had to step down and take care of some family responsibilities in my growing family, but wouldn't trade anything for any minute with them for anything. It's been a lot of fun. And I got 2 boys in the middle. They're involved in hockey and baseball, and they keep me on my toes. They keep me busy, and but I'm still pumping out content when I can, and working with Fantasy Pros with the rankings and such. Their draft rankings are there. Week 1's already ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm excited for this year, and have some other irons in the fire too. Might be doing some freelance content in some places, which is pretty exciting. So hopefully be able to announce something there pretty soon. So yeah, it's been a great. I can't wait for football to start here. A big game tonight, big game tomorrow. I'm wearing black in support of my Eagles, who unfortunately have been discouraged, I think, from wearing their own regular colors. It's real home game there for the Birds, but we'll see what we can do there.
Hey, quick question for you, Drew. What was your favorite thing about going to the Super Bowl as a content creator? And what was your favorite thing from the fan aspect, removing work out of the whole equation?
Well, I covered Super Bowl for week of, so I was able to go to a couple press conferences and go to Radio Row and meet some pretty cool people and do some amazing things. So the final press conference was probably the highlight for me. The Eagles. I was able to get down there. Sat in the front row. Sal Palantonio sat next to me. We chatted it up with Mario Damo, one of my guys at QB List, and Sal answered the question. Never thought in a million years I'd get the mic. I got the question and asked him, who on the defensive side of the ball has helped you raise your game this year? And, oh, by the way, my 5-year-old wants to know who's your favorite Philadelphia Philly. So he went on this minute-long tirade about how great Bryce Harper is and how the energy and the passion that he plays with really embodies the city of Philadelphia. And the Eagles took that and used that on their Super Bowl media blitz the day before the Super Bowl, which was pretty awesome. And so I got a call from my wife. She said, your son's better at this than you are, because that was his question. So that was pretty cool, because I got a chance to work in some family stuff there, and I got a chance to interview Jason Kelsey. I got a good 5 minutes with Dallas Goedert. That was a really awesome interview. AJ Brown, Brandon Graham. But yeah, I learned that Dallas Goedert was a walk-on in college. He got 0 D1 offers. Walked on at South Dakota State and had to lift in the rec center with all the regular people. Couldn't even lift with the team as a freshman, and finally got an opportunity due to injury. And then the rest is history. Became a second-round draft pick of the Super Bowl champion Eagles that year after they won the Super Bowl, and he's turning in a nice career here. So there was a lot of great highlights, but that particular day was pretty awesome. I had a great time with friends out there too. Got to the Waste Management Open. Went to a meet and greet with some of the Eagles legends. Eric Allen, Byron Evans was there. It was just awesome. So Brent Selleck. So it was really cool. So just a great experience. And I wouldn't have traded for anything. So,
man, way to go to your son over there, little DeLuca getting the job done. And I gotta say, Delaware, that's where Joe Flacco went, right? Am I not mistaken? Yeah, Joe Flacco went to University of Delaware. You and Evan both on that spectrum of kids in college and little kids. And Evan's staying busy with baseball. I know that. So y'all got a lot in common over there. And I just want to say to the listeners real quick, it's got a special guest, man. If you got any Philly questions, I already see one Go Birds out there. It's been driving me crazy. Had a draft with 2 Eagles fans last night. And, they're out there in flocks. But I will give the Eagles fans respect in that sense. I don't feel like it's a lot of bandwagon people. I feel like people that are Eagles fans have been in it for the long haul, kind of like Evan and his Chargers fans. Those aren't really bandwagon people. Those are people that are in there for the good and the bad. You know what I'm saying? So kudos to all those people. But if you got a Eagles question, get it in there. We will get it till Drew. And before we get to the Eagles-Packers game, I had to show Drew. We got Packers. We got Vince overlooking everything over there. So we got to, watch what we say over there.
Yeah.
Or what's going on. But before we do that, Evan and I do want to break down. This is the beginning of our betting year. We are a betting show, fantasy sports show, and ultimately sports. We love sports, man. We're going to be talking everything coming out. We're going to have ALCS, NLCS talk when that gets around here. Of course, we're looking at basketball. You see JR in the comments. He's already been breaking down the schedule throughout the season. But it is the new betting season, like we talked about, Evan. And here we go. Evan slacking on the photos. It's not all about me, but here's the beginning of our bankroll, which we call the dojo. So for those of you that have never made pizza before, what happens is you get a ball of dough, and it starts as a ball. Sometimes it gets flat if you go in a walk-in, or if you keep it in your refrigerator, the yeast and everything, the components of that makes everything the complexity of making pizza. But that was a dough roll, and we're using dough because we want to make dough for our bankroll. And when we get into that, Evan, why don't you just go ahead and tell everybody, let's just get right with it. This is what we call, Drew, our stuffed crust smash.
The pizza boy, look at it go, make it dance.
We got to change that. I get hungry every time I look at that, Evan. But what do you have for us today in this bet? What are you looking at? And I'm going to pull up the screen and share it if it's one of the ones that you're going to talk about from our bankroll list.
Yeah, I will talk about one from the list, and I'll just get it. I'll get into tonight, man. Let's give people something to play with tonight, right? It's Isaiah Pacheco for me, man. Over 2.5 receptions at -125. We've seen him be a guy used in the passing game in this offense. I think Baltimore, we know they want to get after the quarterback. I don't expect Mahomes to just take off and run week 1. I know he'll use his legs when he needs to. They brought in Samaje Perine. I know he's a pro. I know Andy Reid has no issue throwing him out there, but I still see Pacheco just getting the majority of that work. And I see when that pass rush comes in, why not dump the ball off to Pacheco? He's hit this in 11 of his last 18 games, including playoff games. He's still the number one guy there. And I think when they get him involved in the passing game, it just opens things up. And this is a Chiefs team, man, that we'll see the weapons that they have, and we'll get into that, right? Xavier Worthy, they got Rice, they got Kelsey. How much of those guys used? It's week 1. It's going to be a lot of running the ball, a lot of slow, methodical movement going on, right? It's week 1 of a very long season. I think we see some dump-off passes on both sides of the ball. So I love Pacheco, man, over 2.5 tonight.
Hey, I like that. Drew, what do you feel about that? Do you feel like Pacheco's going to have a good game? Do you think he's going to see some dump-offs from Mahomes, or what are you anticipating from the Chiefs offense in this game?
No, I like that. I like that call a lot. So I know a lot of people are worried about Samaje Perine. He just got there. I mean, he's still unpacking his bag, right? I mean, so I think Pacheco over 2.5 is pretty safe, and I do think he's going to have a role in the passing game, especially this week. And I think he's as good a bet as anybody to get punch into touchdown. So I think it's a solid bet to ride Pacheco this week.
Well, are you targeting any people in your draft? You do have a draft when we get out of here. Are you targeting any Chiefs? And if so, what rounds are you looking to reach any of them? Or what are your thoughts on any of the Chiefs coming up this year for fantasy purposes?
Well, I've taken a lot of Pacheco in the second, so I've been on board with him all off season. I took him at the draft night out at the Expo in Canton. I took him in round 2, I think it was there, and I was very pleased with that. So I try to sneak Rashee Rice when I can. So I play that game of trying to be the one that takes him before everybody else without really going too far out there to reach for him, if you will. But I like his upside, especially now with no Hollywood Brown out there. So he's a guy that I'm looking to get. I think from the Chiefs side, that's probably it. I don't have a lot of Kelsey because I'm kind of looking to see what tight end drops from that whole cluster of elite level tight ends, if you will, the Laportas, all the way down to the Pittses and the Kincaids. I'm going for value there, so I usually don't have a lot of Kelsey for that. But those are two guys, Pacheco and Rashee Rice on the Chiefs side that I'm into. On the Baltimore side, I wish I had more Derrick Henry. So the longer I'm getting, the more I'm like, why am I fading Derrick Henry? Because he's 30-some years old. He's freaking Derrick Henry. Like, have you seen what this guy's done? The rules don't apply to him. He broke the mold. So I've been unnecessarily scared of Derrick Henry. I'm wishing I had more shares of him. So I might end up with him tonight. We'll see, just to kind of offset that. I do have a fair amount of Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. I like both of those guys a lot. And I've got a few shares of Lamar. So talking about, what quarterbacks are dropping. If Lamar gets disrespected, and I've seen 3 or 4 quarterbacks go off the board and he's still sitting there, I might take a shot on him as well.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts has been going before Lamar. I find that quite interesting, Drew. But Evan, to bring it back to that, I just feel like Henry, he talked about it. Pacheco, he talks about it. Do you think any of those guys make a touchdown? And then what are your fantasy thoughts on my guy, Zay Flowers? Do you have any confidence in Zay Flowers, Evan? And what are your thoughts on those two running backs?
I mean, tonight, I think tonight for Henry and Pacheco, I mean, obviously they both are the guy, inside the goal line. I mean, I know Lamar can take some carries away. That can scare you a little bit, right? But I mean, Gus Edwards still had 13 touchdowns last year, even with Lamar. So now you get Derrick Henry. My only concern really with Henry is the entire world is on Henry to score a touchdown. So that's the only thing I don't like about it. And I think this game is going to be, 23-20, in that, not too low, but kind of low, but he's going to get a lot of volume. So I'm not surprised if Henry or Pacheco score tonight. I just think that kind of seems to be the popular pick. I think both guys, I think you could see Henry run the ball 20, 21 times and have kind of similar to what we saw with Montgomery last year in week 1. Only hit maybe 70, 75 yards. This Chiefs defense is still really good. And I think Baltimore wants to keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hand. They want to slow the game down. So I think Henry has around that 75-yard mark. If he hits the touchdown, that's going to give him probably a top 15 week. But I kept him out of my top 16 this week because I'm going to go against the grain that he doesn't score the touchdown and kind of get stuck around that 9-10 point mark. Pacheco as well. I mean, Baltimore is very good against the run. I think that Rashee Rice can be used in this game in a big, big way, as well as Pacheco in the passing game. So I think that Pacheco is going to be the same kind of thing. 15 carries, maybe hit that 65-yard mark. Going to need to get in the end zone. Another guy I kept out of that top 16 for this week. Those are two of my favorite guys this year. I'm all Pacheco all year long. I think it's a top 10 season for him in the fantasy world. Obviously, I'm not fading King Henry like Drew said. I don't have a lot of him, but I'm expecting top 10 as well in a Baltimore offense, right? He did it in Tennessee. We saw what Gus did. I just can't fade Derrick until he fades himself, right? It'll happen eventually, but I won't bet against that. And you mentioned Zay Flowers. I like Flowers. I think what we saw last year is kind of the guy that he's going to be. I don't expect a massive year 2 jump in Zay Flowers. I will say that a lot of people are kind of off him. So Drew mentioned when guys drop, I'm not going to leave him there forever, but I've kind of stayed away from Zay. I think there's a lot of receivers in the middle of the field when you get into the middle of the draft. And I just think there's other directions I can go. I don't see him as a true number 1 receiver. I know outside of Andrews, they don't have a ton of options there, but I just don't see him putting up wide receiver 1 numbers. So I'm okay with Zay, but I don't have a lot of him personally.
I got a lot of Zay. I got him in a lot of places. I got a lot of faith in Lamar Jackson. I talked about here on a Sub Homeslice in one of the previous episodes, Drew, I said that I think this will be Lamar's first 4,000-yard season. It's the second year of this offense. They went after Zay Flowers intentionally to set this offense up. Mark Andrews, I love him. I have him in a lot as well, just because I'm so high of Lamar. But we'll just see how it goes. And just to come back to it, I wanted to share the screen one more time. There is a boost on DraftKings for either Derrick Henry or Travis Kelce to score a touchdown. You can take advantage of that. It's been boosted up to plus 100. There is a max on that as well, but I think there's potential for both of those to do well tonight. Drew, do you have anything else you want to say about this game? And how do you foresee their future going? Do you see either one of these teams in the playoffs? And do you see either one of these teams winning the conference and/or championship?
I mean, you can't bet against the Chiefs. They're back-to-back Super Bowl champions. So, I mean, what do they say? In order to be the best, you have to beat the best. So, until someone knocks them off, they've got to be the odds-on favorite to not only go to the Super Bowl but win it. So, obviously, you know, if you're going to ask me who's going to win the Super Bowl, the Chiefs or someone else, the field is obviously the smart bet. But I think the Chiefs have to be the prohibitive favorite to go back there. I mean, especially what they've done in the offseason. The fact that Rashee Rice seems to be, you know, dodging a bullet right here legally, at least for the time being. Hollywood Brown will be back. He's not out for the season. You know, Kelsey's Kelsey. The Chiefs have a good defense, as you mentioned. And then the Ravens are good too. So they've got a really good defense. I really feel bad for them. They lost the offensive line coach, Otis Dallas Sanders, passed away recently. I kind of felt he was kind of an important, probably one of the most important coaches in that staff, especially this year with some changes on the offensive line and kind of helping them come together. I don't think he really got his due for how good of an offensive line coach that he was. So I don't feel quite as confident in the Ravens as a Super Bowl contender as the Chiefs, but you can't count them out. There's just a lot of talent on that team, and Harbaugh's just a really good coach as well. So I definitely think these teams are both going places, and it wouldn't be surprising to me at all to see them, you know, replay this game in the playoffs, actually.
Yeah, a repeat of last year's conference championship, right? Yep. So that would be amazing. We're going to get to the Green Bay Philadelphia game in Brazil. Shout out to all the Brazilian fans out there. But before we do that, we're going to get a word from our new sponsor, and here they are.
Find your win tuition and elevate your sports betting with Better Takes. Better Takes examines your betting history to uncover hidden areas that cause bankroll leaks. Uncover patterns and biases so you can break the cycle of mistakes, avoid weaknesses, and play into your strengths. Our advanced stats offer unparalleled granularity, helping you immediately spot problem areas that could be affecting your success. Use the Better Takes Edge score to gauge your expertise for each potential bet, providing clarity and confidence in your decisions. Take control of your betting journey. Download Better Takes from the Apple App Store or Google Play today and start understanding your biases for free. Before placing bets, check with Better Takes, a smarter, more informed approach to sports betting.
All right, Evan, go ahead and take the floor for me there.
Yeah, so Better Takes, man. I mean, listen, we talk about all the time when we're betting, looking for that angle, right? And I know I'm a big matchup guy, right? I talk about, you know, I love the running back receptions, right, Iggy? So why not be the first one of the year? I love targeting tight ends, and I look at the matchups, right? I look about what these teams do. I look at the coverages. I look at past success. What Better Takes does is it also gives me an opportunity to see, although I like this bet, I love the reception bet, how well do I do on it? Am I really analyzing it well? Because if I take all the bets that I've placed on over receptions, what Better Takes does is they're going to take that, they're going to analyze it, and they're going to give me an edge rate, like a success rate on how well I've done. So anything above 50, getting closer to 60, just like 50 to 60% of hitting your bets is what you want to get. You want to see an edge score of that, right? Now, there's going to be times where the edge score is lower. And it's like, well, I really do trust the analytics. Hey, that's okay too. But what this does is it gives me another method before I place that bet to say, you know what, let me plug this in and see, like, although I love all this analysis, how well do I hit these bets? Like, I think my analysis is good, but if my edge score is at 40 or 35 on running back receptions, maybe there's something in my process that I'm missing, even though the matchup looks good on paper, right? Because why am I not hitting? So Better takes that for us, gives us that opportunity to see that, gives us just another angle before we decide to play that bet, and it tracks it. You can link your sports book to it. You can see every bet. So whether you're going over under, you're doing props, you're doing money line, it takes the odds, it takes all those. You can see every bet you place and all those edge scores next to it before you decide to move forward. So very new app. Download it today. It's free. Iggy and I are using it. We'll be tracking our bets. We'll be showing our edge score. So go check out Better Takes. They're on X. The app is on Android and iPhone. Check it out.
Yeah, I want to say thanks to them. Make sure you go download the app, available with both Android and Apple. Drew, we're going to get to this game now. And the first question to ask is, who's the man? And I'll go first, and then I'll hand it to you. Because I think the man of this game is Saquon Barkley. We are going to build a DFS lineup out of this. I think we see an old school game where Saquon gets about 25 carries. I think people are underestimating how difficult it is to replace a 6-time All-Pro, and that All-Pro was Kelsey, and he was making protection changes and audibles at the line of scrimmage. He was doing a lot of that. So I think we might see some miscues. I think we'll see some good defensive line play from the Green Bay Packers, but ultimately how they're going to try to neutralize that, I think, is just a lot of Saquon. And I think he's going to have the most targets and more touches of this game. But I don't know if that's going to be enough to win the game, but I'll hit on that here in a little bit. Drew, who do you think is going to be the man of this game?
Well, I mean, I love the Saquon call. I think that's probably it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you gave him $30-some million for a reason, so he's going to get a lot of action. And it was kind of cool. I went to the open practice this year, and just the electricity he had with the ball in his hands, and just second level, just making people miss. He's special, and he's back, and he's felt healthy, and he's rejuvenated. He's energized. He's excited to be in Philadelphia. So I'm excited for what he's going to do. And I'm not as worried about some people as the loss of Jason Kelsey. So Cam Jurgens is sliding over from guard to center. He was kind of handpicked by Kelsey as a successor. And you look at his metrics for how he performed last year at guard, and he was really good. And that center is actually his natural position. So I don't have any concerns really about him. I'm interested to see what happens in the right guard spot with Mekhi Becton. He's really kind of trying to reinvent himself here. It's been a little bit of a mixed bag, but mostly good and at times exceptional from him. So I'm excited to see what he does there. And look at the tackles. You have Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, both all-pro caliber players, and then Landon Dickerson is an all-pro guard. So that line is still amazing. And you put Saquon behind that. This line is far and away better than anything he ever ran behind in New York. So I think
it's Penn State.
yeah. So I mean, I'm really it's wheels up for Saquon for me this year. I think in this game too. So I think Hurts is going to benefit as well too from that. I think you have a Saquon who's just kind of pounding it away. It's going to force the defenses to cheat up a little bit more, and then you're just gonna pick your poison with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and downfield. It's going to be ugly. And Dallas Goedert too got some looks too in that open practice. There's not a lot of tush pushing actually, but in goal line situations, but a lot of hands off to Saquon, a lot of playoff and action fakes to Goddard in the end zone for touchdowns. We saw that 3 or 4 times in the open practice. So I think you're going to see his touchdown total go over 3 or 3.5 or whatever it is this year. That's a season-long prop that I love. I love his over this year in touchdowns. I think that's going to really help him in a big way. So I think low-key Goddard is going to be better than people think this year. I don't know that the volume is going to be as high as we want it to be, but I think he's going to be a little bit more efficient in the red zone than he's ever been.
I love that. Yeah, they're going to have to replace that. So, Drew, just to confirm, it sounds like we're both on Saquon. His rushing line right now, my friend, is at 63.5. Are we in consensus that this is an over, right? So we're going to add that to a little thing we call a pizza parlay, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But I think that, you've had to speak your mind on it. Let's tilt it over here to Lord Vince a little bit. And let's just see what's up. And I say, what's up, Antonio? Thanks for being here, guys. Get your comments in if you're over on the YouTube. If you're watching on X, go over to the YouTube, like, subscribe, get your comments in, and we'll get them up here for you. And like I said, you got a Phillies question for Drew. I see, Pete, you had one. We'll get that one up here in a second. But let's give credit where credit's due. Pete Schrager said this morning that he thought the Green Bay Packers would win the Super Bowl, and he has been spot on as of late. There's something special. This team was really close before. People forgot Aaron Rodgers. When they had him, they were in the NFC Championship against the 49ers against Tom Brady. Tom Brady won on Lambeau Field. That still blows my mind to go to the Super Bowl. I can't believe it. But everything's there. Josh Jacobs is there. The receivers are there. An offensive-minded head coach is there. And the defense has a great secondary. I think it's going to be a good matchup between Philadelphia's passing attack and Green Bay secondary. That's why I think that they'll try to rely on Saquon and try to get a lot of yardage out of him and try to attack the linebacking core of the Green Bay Packers. Having said that, I'd like to go ahead and just pull up the bets real quick because I do have Green Bay winning this bet. It is on 50 on the app that we just spoke about, so it's a neutral bet right now for me. But as you can see, if we go right here, I got the Henry one highlighted right now. Give me a second. Right there, my first bet, Green Bay, but I believe in Romeo Doubs. All right, correct me if I'm wrong, but Devin White's out, Drew, correct? So
yes.
Who is that going to put as y'all's green dot? That's going to put back Jacoby Dean back as y'all's green dot, and who's going to be the weak side help with that? You don't have more, do you? So it's going to be
Well, we got Zach Bond back there as well. He's had a heck of a camp, so people are excited about him. And Nakobe Dean has also done pretty well at camp this year too. There's a lot of positive buzz about him. I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm going to say this: Shio Kapadia, listened to him on WIP local radio station here on the way home to get home to do this podcast, and there's a lot of buzz right now that Devin White was kind of really unimpressive in camp, if you will, and the Eagles were low-key trying to trade him after signing that big contract. And all of a sudden he has this injury out of nowhere. So there's a lot of questions flying around Philadelphia right now about Devin White and about the signing and whether Vic Fangio was actually on board with this. Was this an initiative that the front office did and they just really weren't in communication with Fangio about this? And Dean is a lot more cerebral, and I think he's better suited to wear that green dot anyway, honestly, as much as I like White. So I think I'm excited to see what happens here. We might even see the young guy, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. getting a little bit of action. We'll see. But I think this is Dean. Yeah, Dean is going to get. You talk about who's going to be a man on him. The spotlight's really going to be on him in a big way in this game to see how can this linebacking core step up. The Eagles linebacking core has been absolutely atrocious for years now, and now with Bond playing better, we thought we had something with White, but now maybe with Nakobe Dean stepping in there, it'll be a little better. So that's going to be, I think, kind of a key. I think Luke Musgrave is kind of a little bit of a sneaky play because the Eagles have been pretty bad against tight ends in recent years. And until these linebackers are proving that they can kind of stick with these guys a little bit, then I think Luke Musgrave could be a sneaky play, especially with Tucker Kraft not 100%. So that's something to I think to watch. I'm really excited to see what happens with Quinion Mitchell because he's been raising a lot of eyebrows in Philadelphia, and I'm excited to see what he brings. You got Christian Watson, who's a baller. I have a lot of Christian Watson in fantasy, so I'm cautiously. This is a game I kind of don't want Christian Watson to do well in as an Eagles fan, but I'm starting him in some lineups and not in others just because I'm between Slay and Quinion Mitchell. I think Mitchell has the potential to be the biggest impact corner I think we've seen since Sauce Gardner as a rookie. So I think he's going to be really, really good. So we'll see. I like the Eagles, I think, in this one, money line versus the Packers, but I'm contractually obligated to say that, of course. But I will say this, it doesn't feel like a home game for the Eagles, even though it is. Yep. Obviously, it's in Brazil, but when you can't even wear your own team colors and the opposing team is parading around in the national colors of Brazil, it kind of takes a little bit of the air out of the sails, So we'll see what happens in this one. But I don't hate that call for Green Bay money line at all. Yeah,
I do know that Green Bay is popular in Brazil. In Fantasy Football 7s, I have about 4 or 5 different Brazilians, one of them back-to-back champions. And they emphasize how popular Green Bay is, maybe because of the color coordination with the green and the yellow of the national flag. But I think it's going to be interesting. And I kind of looked at it a different way. And that's what I went back to this real quick, and we'll move right on. That's why I have Dobbs scoring a touchdown. I think they're going to match up. I think they're going to figure out that he's got a linebacker on him. If they try to bump him inside, try to move him away, if they try to put a big corner on him and they go into zone, I think he's got a good opportunity to get behind that linebacker core and get a touchdown. And I do have it. So half a unit there would return 3.09 units on that bet. And Evan, we're going to go ahead and make that our Sauce's Boss bet of the day. Cold pizza Tuesday. So once again, this is the Friday matchup that we're discussing. Green Bay at Philadelphia, trying to get us a DFS lineup built. But before we get to that, first off, we got the 2 legs of the pizza parlay. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that up. Evan, I looked up your Pat Freiermuth. We're going to discuss it right after this little segment break. Pizza! The pizza parlay is it's got to have 3 ingredients, okay? For all pizzas, you essentially have to have some kind of sauce and some kind of cheeses, right? And then you could put whatever you want on it. And we put the 3 ingredients on it because that's the kind of parlays we like to build. There's a lot of boosts that come with certain books on that. And right now, what we have is Pacheco over 2.5 receptions. We have Saquon Barkley over 63.5 rushing yards, and we're at plus 242. And I'm looking at your Pat Freiermuth bet for Sunday, but it's already moved up. So I can't put a same game parlay. And before we go ahead and move on to that, we'll go to the pizza parlay and we'll come back and wrap it up with the Friday DFS. Okay, guys? Is there any matchups that y'all like for sure to win, or any straight bet that you like in particular for this week, Evan?
Yeah, for this week, any bet on the whole weekend?
Yeah, because you got some props up there, Devontae Williams, and then you have Pat Fryermuth, but the lines have moved on those already. So you have a good one. Is there any team you like to come out? Like, for example, I like the Saints to win. I think they're going to do pretty great against Carolina at home, to be honest with you. Some people feel really good about Chicago. I don't. Or Drew, is there anybody that you like this weekend outside of Philadelphia, of course, that will be playing?
Well, my eyes are on Cincinnati right now. I mean, I think that last I saw the line was like 8 something like there. I mean, that's if you're looking for something to just kind of click a box for a parlay and just so you can get easy money. I think that's one right there. Burrow's people are questioning Joe Burrow. People are questioning Jamar Chase, but Jamar Chase is back. He's healthy. I think he's pretty much ready to go. So I kind of like Cincinnati there. Even with the points, forget about money line, but either way, I like them a lot there. So,
well, yeah, the money line puts it up honestly to plus 329 odds. Not terrible. It's at negative 395. The spread is at 8.5. Evan, did you think of anything else you'd maybe like to add on there?
I mean, I like what Drew said about kind of putting one that we definitely, kind of a heavy favorite, and 395 is not terrible for a pretty lopsided matchup that I see as well in that game. I do like the Seahawks as well. I think that they have no issue with Denver. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. I mean, I do like I said, I like Javonte because I think Denver's going to establish the run. I think they're going to feed him early on in the season, especially with Bo Nix. But in that game, Kenneth Walker, I think, has a big game, and I think that Ryan Grubb has that offense ready to play. I think Denver lost Justin Simmons. I don't think that pass defense will be as good. I really think this is a gimme game for the Seahawks, and I also like the Dolphins. I don't like anything about the Jaguars' defense. I think Tua is going to have a massive week with Waddle and Tyreek Hill. He's a top 5 quarterback for me in week 1. I think Miami hits running like they did last year. And even if the Jags can put up some points, I just don't think they can hang. So I do like the Dolphins and the Seahawks as well a lot this week.
So we're all over different money lines. Like I said, the Cincinnati money line put it at negative 3 plus 3. Dolphins put it to plus 4. They don't have the best defense, in my opinion. Seahawks should take care of business at negative 2.
Oh, yeah.
Plus 379.
I like that call. Yep.
The Seahawks. Mm-hmm. So there you have it. There's our pizza parlay then. Pacheco over 2.5 receptions. Barkley over 63.5 rushing yards. Seahawks money line plus 379. Put half a unit on it, and it returns over 2 units back. So almost a 2-unit gain there on that. Once you said plus 379 divided by 2, that puts us at what, like 80, 190, something like that.
About 190.
Yeah, right in there with the rough odds. So there you have our pizza parlay. But Drew, what's your favorite kind of pizza? Do you have a favorite pizza go-to spot, or do you have a pizza ingredients that you really like?
Well, I think if I'm just ordering regular pizza from somewhere, I like the combo of spinach and sausage together. I think you got a little bit of the bitter green and a little bit of that, nice, fatty but delicious meat. So I like that combo a lot. Probably the best pizza I've ever had was I went overseas to Italy a few times, and I've had some great pizza down there in Italy. And I actually just kind of stumbled on this remarkable little place in Orvieto in northern Italy in Tuscany area. And it was like just a white, almost like a white pizza, and it had truffles on there. They're local truffles. It had mushroom, the pancetta, and everything. It was just magical. It was the best pizza I've ever had. So,
yeah. I love it.
Mitchell Stuckey is in this draft. I'm going to be leaving here and going right to a draft.
Oh yeah, he wants to know your draft strategy. So
he's taking notes about the bets here too. But yes, so it looks like my chances of getting that Derrick Henry share just went right in the toilet. So
well, here's another question for you, Drew. Do you think the Eagles go to the Super Bowl this season? I have the Eagles Ravens for the Super Bowl.
I like that. That's an awesome call. So a little I-95 series there. Bring it back, Philly, Baltimore, 83 World Series. Back to when I was a little kid back in the old days. So, but I like that call. That's an interesting one. So, but yeah, I think the Eagles have people right now are kind of saying they're like the 3rd or 4th best odds, I think, to make it from the NFC. But I like the only team I think that has a better chance, I think, right now is the Detroit Lions. So if the ball bounces that way, I'm sorry, 49ers, I'm sorry, but listen, the Super Bowl hangover thing is real. I'm just telling you firsthand, it is real. And I don't envy, the pressure that I think that the 49ers are going to have. They're going to have a target on their backs. I think Seattle, you just talked about them. They're no joke this year. Let's not sleep on them. There's a very real chance that the Seattle Seahawks could win that division. And I don't mean that disrespectfully to 49ers fans. I just think that the Seahawks are kind of doing things the right way on offense. And I really believe in JSN this year. There's just a dangerous offense. If the 49ers get back there, more credit to them. And I'm not counting them out. There's just too much talent there. But, there's some rumblings about Trent Williams and his situation right now that you got to worry about. CMC not being healthy, and we're not even at week 1 yet. That's a concern. We had all the drama with Brandon Ayuk and everything else. There's already question marks and drama and everything else swirling around. That's not a good omen for a team that's trying to avoid a Super Bowl omen. So yeah, give me the Eagles in there. I like it. So let's do it.
Yeah, I have a bet for the Packers and Ravens, so I'm pretty close with you. But yeah, that's going to pay off quite well. That'll be a 20-unit payoff if that hits. So pretty happy about that. And Drew, do you have time to build this DFS lineup with us, or do you need to go?
I got a couple minutes, yeah.
Okay, so I've already put Saquon as our captain, guys. Who else do we like? And I guess I answered that question. I think Green Bay can go to the Super Bowl, win the conference. I do think Philadelphia can as well. We'll see if their defense can hold up. That's kind of the question mark for both of them. But we do have Saquon in there. This is going to be off DraftKings. This is in the Daily Dollar single entry. I pretty much only do single entries when it comes to DFS entries, and it's for fun for me, and it's only $1. So keep that in mind whenever we're building this lineup. You can play DFS several different ways. This is how we're doing it for the purposes of this show. Okay. So we do have Saquon in there. AJ Brown's 11,000. Jalen Hurts 10th. Well, instead of reading off the prices, Evan, give me a guy. Who do you think is going to perform really well in this matchup?
So thinking about the prices with that, though, I mean, I think the dynamic of AJ Brown and Devontae Smith tomorrow night is going to be really interesting because of Green Bay's defensive coordinator, right? He comes over from the Jets. The Packers ran a lot more single high last year, but he ran a lot of two high in New York. And so if he changes that in Green Bay and runs some of that two high coverage, that's Devontae's area. Like that's where he's the guy that takes off. So I'm interested to see Green Bay's defense and how much they play in each of those coverages and who that opens up for. But I think Devontae could sneakily be targeted more than AJ Brown in this game. Obviously, he's probably going to be a little bit less, so I think Devontae might be a good play for us. I love Drew's call on Musgrave. He's probably not very expensive. Goddard on the other side, they have a lot more weapons. I think that Musgrave.
Musgrave's 4,600. Musgrave 4,600. Smith is 9,000. Y'all want to put both of those guys in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, we're going Musgrave. What do you got for me, Drew? Who else? So we got Barkley as captain. We still got 22,000. So we got, about 7-4. There's a pretty hard split between Jacobs at 8,200, Love 9,800, Hurts 10,600, AJ Brown 11,000, and then the rest of the field.
Obviously, if I had to pick even up, I prefer Hurts over Love just from the rushing aspect of things. So I will say this: I don't expect Hurts to have as many tush-push carries as he did last year, but I do expect him to be definitely a much more efficient and better passer this year than he was in last year as well. So I think he'll eat as a passer, and he's still going to tuck and run a fair amount as well. If we're able to work Hurts in there over Love, I'd like that, but I certainly would not be upset with Jordan Love, who's a very solid quarterback in his own right. If we need to go that route,
let's go the flip side of that. Let's go the cheap option. We got Johan Dotson 3,200, Packers defense 3,600. And then we have Wilson, which I don't know if you're familiar with. This might be good for you, Drew.
Emmanuel Wilson.
Yeah, for Green Bay, and he's at 2,400. I think he's going to have a lot of carries for this first game with Lloyd likely out, A.J. Dillon likely out. I think we're going to see a lot of takeouts, but they got to steal him. So what do y'all think?
I like that.
2,400, man. So that frees us up. Now we got 9,950 per roster. So let's go ahead and get Hurts. And then that leaves us with our options of our top options left. We got 9,300, so we can go back and rework this. We got Jacobs and Dobbs and Reed. I'm all over Dobbs. I think he's going to do it. What do y'all think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Reed in the slot could be a problem, but I think their Eagles slot corner and their safeties in general are a lot stronger than they were last year. So I think if you feel strongly with Dobbs, I think we roll with that.
Yeah, let's do it because it's a 30-second pass rush, pass defense in the NFL. Eagles are currently. So we still got 2,500 left over. Is there anybody we want to take out? Our lineup right now: Captain Barkley, then Dobbs, Hurts, Musgrave, Smith, and Wilson. Musgrave's 4,600. Wilson's 2,400. Should we try to take one of those guys out? I think our core four between Smith, Hurts, and Barkley for the Eagles offense is there. 2,500 is a lot left over.
Who would we put in if we took one of those guys out? Who would be our option?
Let's go look. Musgrave. We could get Reed in instead of Musgrave.
We could do that. If we went from Hurts to Love, what would that do for us?
Hurts to Love? That would free up some more money.
Yeah. How much? What are our options looking there?
Let's see. So y'all put Musgrave back in, is what you're saying?
Yeah. So let's see what the difference. Hurts plus,
okay.
trash level player versus Love versus perhaps somebody else.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Jalen Hurts. We'll take him out. We'll put in Love. Draft. Now we still have 3,300, and you want to take out Wilson. We could put in Christian Watson or Wicks now, or Jake Elliott. Who would y'all want out of those three?
I'd say for me it's Watson or Elliott.
Evan?
Let's see, kicking in this game. I mean, I think Watson's got the upside, right? I mean, that's what we're looking for. We think he's healthy right now. We've seen what he's done when he's healthy, right? So I think that he could come back to burn us big time, right? On one route that hammy pulls up, but right now that shouldn't be a concern for us. So I think I take the upside there. I don't know what to think of that Green Bay room, man. They got a lot going on.
I'm trying to tilt it. It's kind of so bright you can't see it.
It just gets bright, yeah.
With the dark mode, but we're submitting it. Here we go. Final thing for the show. We got Barkley at captain, Dobbs, Love, Musgrave, Watson, and then Smith. So kind of ended up going from Philly heavy to Packer heavy. We only have $100 left on our budget. I think we got a winner, guys. We don't if we don't win it all, let's just try to double some money or something. And
value's the name of the game, and that's where the value is. That's where you take it. So
exactly. Yep. Well, that's it, Drew. Why don't you remind everybody where to find your work? I know you're kind of in the off season, but where to find you even on X or where they can hit you up if they have some questions. And I just want to say thanks for joining us, man.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. So yeah, on X it's Drew Delaware, and then on Reddit it's Drew SEABA55, Drew Seabass with 5s instead of S's. So you can find me there. I'm also doing rankings again on Fantasy Pros and Expert Consensus Rankers. You mentioned at the top of the show there. So my draft rankings are ready to go. My week 1 is ready to go. And y'all be putting out some content here and there for QB List this year, and helping out with some editing there as well. And like I said, I got an iron or two in the fire for doing some freelance things other places as well. So stay tuned for that. So thanks for having me on, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely, Drew. Always great to meet with you in person, and I'm glad you came on the show. He told me about Devontae Smith 2 years ago, so I've been rocking with him ever since, Drew. I appreciate it, man. Good luck to you in your fantasy draft, but bad luck to your Eagles, all right?
Fly, Eagles, fly. Go Birds.
I love it, man. Thanks. Hey, Evan, any closing words to get us out of here?
No, man, great show. Just happy that we could have Drew on. I mean, lots of good stuff there, man. I mean, we're talking about a guy that, top 10 in rankings before. So definitely, if you don't have him on there, go give him a follow. Check out his content. Definitely going to be somebody you want to be looking at weekly there, right? Who to start, who to put in, who to put out. And just some great stuff, man. I mean, the O-lines, the D-lines, the depth of guys on both sides of the ball. Really good conversation. So other than that, man, I know we got our bets up there, Iggy. We may add a few more, I'm sure, for Sunday's game. So we'll be sure to get those out. We'll go over those again, next week. And other than that, get ready to check out. We do have Thursday check down on the YouTube coming up this afternoon at, what is that, 8 Eastern, 7:30 Eastern?
That'll be 5 Mountain Time, 7 Eastern, and then the watch along after that. So we, fourth year of us watching Thursday Night Football, came hang out with us, talk about the game, talk with each other, have a good time. It's kind of a laid-back atmosphere. And I just want to say thank you all for joining us, taking time out of your day. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next week. We'll get these bets uploaded to thesportsaffiliation.com. See you later.